Hello, my name is Ashley McDowell. I will be doing my speech today on cognitive development and memory in young children. Memory is nothing that you can taste, smell, touch, feel. It's a mental process. And the way our brain works is that it's virtually limitless in the amount of memory that we can hold. So we don't have to erase thoughts from our mind or forget them just to get more, just to remember more, to store more. It doesn't work that way, which is really good for some of us. Memory actually has 3 stages. The first one is encoding, and this is the process where we bring all of our incoming data into our brain. All of our senses then work together, our sound, what we hear, visual cues. It all comes together to process the data into storage. That's the second step. This is where all the information that's come in is transmitted by the neural circuits. Then the transmitted information goes to the cortex, which is the back of our brain. The final stage is retrieval, and this is where we bring all of the stored data in our brains to our conscious thoughts. Some of our memories are easier to remember than others. A lot of the times they are etched with emotions, and what I mean by that is if you've ever had a time that you can remember something, maybe detail by detail exactly what happened, almost like a deja vu moment, or something that stuck with you more than other times, often that's because you are remembering it when a time that you were happy, maybe a good experience happened with it, something bad, really any emotion that you tie to that sometimes can make that easier to recall or make you more refreshed on all the details that happened. You basically associated that memory with feelings, so can be a good thing. Working memory is a form of memory that's even shorter than short-term memory. And it allows us to hold information for a very small period of time, like 5 seconds. Then once it goes past that and you're still into that short-term memory, it links it to your long-term memory. It's basically like if you've ever had to write down a phone number really fast and you only remember it long enough to write it down and then you completely forget it. That's your working memory. That's when you're using it, basically. It's a lot of time autopilot. You don't realize you're using it. It's just very quick. You don't have to associate anything with it. You don't have to try to think about it very much. It's just automatic. That's your working memory. Your working memory is located in your executive part of your brain, which scientists believe that that's where we think, which is an interesting fact because since it's so autopilot, it kind of makes sense. I can kind of give you a little bit of an example of how your brain goes into autopilot. If I was to tell you to say the word joke 5 times, and you would say joke, 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 and then I ask you, what is the white part of the egg called? If you said yolk, that's not right. But if you said it, that's because your brain went into autopilot. You automatically associated the word joke and egg with a rhyming word, which would be yolk. Obviously, the correct answer is the white of the egg. What is the white of the egg called? The white of the egg. But that just shows you how your brain goes very quickly and you automatically assume that that would be what it is. But it's not. But that's still a good thing because that means that your brain's working properly. Working memory is mainly used for arithmetic or when you're prioritizing something. There are ways to master your memory, and you can get the most out of it by doing techniques or strategies. They have a review and repeat, which is when you read over something and then you repeat it several times. You just keep saying it until you have it, or you go over it daily or something. A lot of people use that to try to remember something, maybe even linking that with short-term memory, like a phone number. You just keep saying it and saying it. And so basically, you remember, you put it in your long-term, you stored it there, you're not going to forget it. Say it and writing it is a good way also, because you're using more than one sense. Not only are you saying what you're trying to remember, but if you write it down at the same time, a lot of the time that etches it in your memory and it's easier to remember. You can personalize something, which you can tie it into something in your everyday life, or maybe something that will remind you of it. Maybe something in your family, or an experience you had with that. Any way that you can kind of make it your own, that'll help you remember it. A lot of younger children use rhymes and songs when they're trying to remember pieces of, let's say, sentences and nouns, or the United States. When they're trying to think of different things and learn those, a lot of times teachers will use songs and rhymes, little catchy phrases that'll help them keep it in their thoughts. Some techniques that are used are rehearsal, self-test, organizing into different categories, retrieval, study time, and elaboration. The last aspect of memory I want to discuss is chunking. This is where our ability to connect different pieces of information that aren't related at all together is, and it's a way for us to free up space in our brain so that we can chunk more. A lot of times we don't even realize we're chunking it, but it's how we grab different little pieces and pull them together to make one memory. How a child uses their memory is entirely up to them. They can use techniques, they can use strategies. Some may have a photographic memory, which is amazing if they do, but unfortunately not all of us are lucky enough to have that. But as a child gets older and learns more, they're going to find their own adaptive techniques and how it works best for them, because I can tell you which works better or what doesn't, but that's just from my opinion. As a child, as the more options they're given, the more likely they are able to find something that works for them, because it's not going to work for everyone what works for one person. I hope that you guys all maybe use your memories or your working memory and remember a little bit of my speech. Have a good night.